Midwin, these go back a bit, as Josh has been saying. What do you know about these cases, and what might you be looking at legally from the perspective of what we know today and based on all the years passing since then?
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting about these cases is a lot of these women have signed non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, right? And so when you sign a non-disclosure agreement, what you do is you are essentially saying that you are not going to talk about, you are not going to disclose the allegations that arose, you're not going to disclose what sort of agreement it is that you've reached with the other person. But let me just say, one of the reasons why we are seeing Michael Bloomberg face a lot of these sort of drip stories is because to date, he has not been vetted. He is someone who has sort of catapulted himself into the polls because he's been blanketing the entire country with ads, which is fine. But at the end of the day, he's got to earn everyone's vote and do the same work that all the candidates have been doing. He hasn't participated in a debate. He has not yet sat down for a national interview with anybody. So it's almost like we don't really know who he is other than these sort of news stories that are, coming out drip. And so the whole purpose of a primary is so that we can get to see who the candidates are and how they look, particularly when compared against one another. It's why we do the debates. And I think we all can agree that, it's helpful to do that. It's helpful to see that, particularly the voting public. So.
You stick your head out too far, it's going to get whacked, basically. And as Bloomberg's numbers are getting better, he's starting to see part of that. Danielle, part of this, we used to sing this. As Midwin was lamenting here, Oppo Research, love it or hate it, this is what he's facing at the moment now that his numbers are rising. There still is, aside from these allegations, there's a concern that we've been talking about since the day he entered the race, and how this will affect the African-American vote based on redlining, those comments coming out earlier this week, and as well, stop and frisk, and whether at the end of the day, when you balance that with his commitments to communities of color, spending billions of dollars, how does that balance out?
I mean, Midwin and I were having a conversation earlier, and we were saying, the black people are always faced with having to pick the best of two evils, right? Like the best person. There is nobody on that stage right now that has a good record in terms of the black community.
You can't get it all.
You can, exactly, but it's always us. It's always the black community that's just like, well, you can't have everything. And we're like, can you not do blackface? Can you not throw black men up against the wall? Like, is that so hard to do? Look, Oppo Research is a part of the political game, but at the end of the day, Michael Bloomberg, one, he needs to face up to his record. And for me, I'm sorry's don't really work. What I would like for him to do is to create policies and missions around creating more equity in the black community, closing the racial wealth gap, talking about our public school system, talking about healthcare disparities for black women. Yes, I would like some plans that Warren has put together. And don't try and tell us that, oh, well, I did this thing, but I wasn't really sure of the outcome of what was going to happen with stop and frisk. Yes, you did. And its intended outcome was to traumatize and harass generations of black men and brown men in America.